Inquisitor was not pleased.
Hey everyone, it's Peter Brown standing in for freelancer Daniel Starkey for their review of Warhammer 40,000 Dawn of War 3. Dawn of War 3 is a game at odds with itself. Matches start with a lot of momentum and expand quickly before settling into a soft balance for long stretches. Careful control of elite warriors on the front lines is essential, but so is constantly nurturing your base and marshalling upgrades for your armies. Despite that, Dawn of War 3 holds its own, offering up delicious tooth-and-nail fights that will push both your technical skill and strategic aptitude to their limit. Like most games under the Warhammer umbrella, Dawn of War 3 isn't that friendly to newcomers, and it actually matters this time around. Everything from tactical options to unit tactics leans at least partially on knowledge of the Warhammer universe. The tutorial will do a solid job of giving you the tools you need to get going, but background knowledge is all but essential. Beyond a healthy addition to the already massive Warhammer canon, the single-player campaign doesn't offer much. Each of its 17 missions serve as a drawn-out tutorial, and that's okay on its own, but without interesting twists on the fundamentals of play, you're better off starting with multiplayer. Online skirmishes can have between 2 and 6 human or AI players split into 2 teams. Each is charged with defending a power core. Both sides start with an array of basic defenses, and from there you'll plan out your base and capture strategic points around the map to pull in resources and keep tabs on the enemy. That in itself could form the backbone of the game, but Dawn of War 3 also has an array of powerful hero units. Each is a pillar of the Warhammer story and comes with weapons and powers befitting their esteem.
We've completed a power generator. Target destroyed.
While most elites, as they're called, can turn the tide on their own, they're akin to a queen in chess, in that if you do manage to lose one, it can be devastating. What this means, practically speaking, is that just as your base building gets more complex and requires more care and attention, you're also tasked with tactically managing your elite units. That makes for one steep learning curve, but for those that manage it, there's a lot of added depth. Overall, there's an unusual attentiveness to the front lines which lends itself to white-knuckle play. Pressing with the gargantuan elite as a distraction right as you capture a resource node is exhilarating, and made that much better when it results in activating a means to warp in reinforcements from across the map. These gains are always tenuous though. Dawn of War strictly limits army size, and resource gathering slows exponentially with the more troops you gain. This means that even if you knock an opponent down, they'll build up resources quickly and come back swinging in short order. That magnifies the importance of psychological play. Running with the previous example, while you'd have a strong forward position, that also stretches supply lines and leaves you open to a swift, brutal counterattack. These quick reversals are brilliant and make for intense, memorable matches. While humans are far more fun to spar with, the included AI isn't a slouch. They will try their own tricks, often hinting at larger enemies than they actually have, if only to intimidate you and launch a sneak attack to your core base. Each of the 3 main factions also complement one another well in the classic rock-paper-scissors fashion. Space Marines are slow to build up momentum, but once they hit the field, they're a force. Eldar are mobile and suited for hit-and-run attacks, and the Orcs, well, they're weird. They are exceptionally strong, but only when they emit a war cry, which, while terrifying, notifies everyone in the field to put their guard up. In the middle of matches, you can tune your army a bit, changing out different elite units as a kind of loadout. In a nod to its tabletop inspirations, you can also customize the paint and color scheme for every unit in the game. Given the role of army customization to Warhammer proper, it's a shame you can't also swap out weapons and gear for your basic units and vehicles. The options given help mix things up a bit, but they're also a bit shallow. And a few other problems lurk here and there, particularly in the user interface. On multiple occasions, elite units wouldn't deselect when clicking around the map. At times, dragging boxes around troops wouldn't highlight them at all. While small problems on the whole, they did cause their share of raised voices. Dawn of War 3 certainly sounds amazing, with crisp sound effects and an excellent soundtrack, but unfortunately the visual presentation leaves something to be desired. Battles often look great zoomed out, but pulling in shows plenty of blemishes. The camera also doesn't do a good job of showing off the battlefield. Even at its most distant, very little of the map fits on the screen, meaning that you can expect to need to move around a lot during play. An odd chimera of its forebears, there's a lot in this fast-paced RTS that is just a little bit off. Parts of the interface don't work sometimes, intermatch army management feels half-baked, and micromanagement needed to use the game's signature hero units effectively doesn't jive with the extensive base building you need to support them. Even so, Dawn of War 3 is a rare strategy game that keeps the adrenaline pumping throughout.